Hey, welcome to First Stop Indy, presented by EOS Fitness. Joined now by Ian Rapoport from NFL Network. It's providing live coverage of the 26th NFL Scouting Combine, Thursday through Sunday. Ian, thank you so much for your time. I know you got a lot going on. Last time we talked was on Radio Row, and it wasn't official yet, but now it's obviously official. Klint Kubiak is the Raiders head coach. Raiders waited till the end to get their guy. That's one way to look at it. But again, they showed the patience to do it. What did it tell you about the way the search went and who they ultimately landed on as their coach?
Well, this is an interesting one because for me, I'm not sure I realized it was going to be Klint Kubiak until probably the middle of the day Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously before they all left for the Super Bowl when the Raiders were talking to him, and I learned a couple things like probably had a pretty good shot for both the jobs for the Arizona Cardinals and for the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't think that's a total surprise, but I think probably had a really good shot at them. And two, it didn't feel like the Raiders really showed their hand until that day. I think that they probably, from what I understand, liked Clint all the way through, but didn't really want anyone to know. So just kind of talked about, just even like, there are things that happen during coaching searches. Like, let's say, if John Spytek wanted to get more information on Klint Kubiak, could call Seattle. Seattle would know how interested they are, and that kind of sometimes can become public. They didn't do any of that. I think they kept it really quiet until the end to make sure that they got him, and I think that was interesting to me.
What does that say about the fact that John Spytek's only a second-year GM? Tom Brady obviously is doing what he does. Mark Davis doing what he does. What does that say of the fact that they were able to keep a lid on things and say about not only the patience but being able to get the guy they wanted?
Yeah, patience, I don't mind the patience because as long as you know you're going to get him, but, you had to be confident that you were because, Look, there's a chance that he comes in and goes, I want the Cardinals job. And then you're like, all right, no, look, there were some other options, but still it's like you got to know that you got a good chance of getting the guy. And then, it's a really disciplined situation, right? A lot of times in these searches, there's a lot of voices, a lot of people clamoring for info. Sometimes in organizations, some people want to be among the decision makers and they're really not. Like, there's a lot of things that happen during these searches. This was a really patient and disciplined one with everyone knowing who the guy was, but making sure that nobody really found out until it was time to make the hire.
Speaking of patience and the discipline, there's the combine beyond the players that are there to be seen for the draft. It's always the rumor mills that are twirling at full speed. Maxx Crosby's name has come up quite a bit in the rumor mill. The fact that John Spytek today was asked point blank, do you anticipate him being in uniform at the start of the season? And he simply said, yes, I do. What's your take on that? And obviously things can change, but what's your personal take on the Maxx Crosby situation right now?
Yeah, first of all, you're right. Things can definitely change. And, we've learned, especially through the Micah Parsons situation with the Cowboys, that, you can think a guy's going to be part of the team all the way up until the season starts, and then all of a sudden he's not. So that is the NFL. That's just the world we live in. I think his injury situation makes the timing relevant because, to be fully traded, he's got to be healthy. And so, it's going to be a minute. It's not going to be immediate. It's not going to be right now. So it might be before the draft or it might be before the season. It sounds like he's doing really, really well in his rehab, really well. But still, these things take time. And so at the least, what I think you're going to get is Maxx Crosby with the opportunity to see what the Raiders did in the offseason and to see who they can bring in, to talk to the coaches, to understand the vision. In their defensive coordinator search,
yeah.
They hired the guy who works very closely with Maxx Crosby. That was not lost on me. So they're going to have the opportunity to put it in front of him and go, I know you've been through this before. I know you've heard from different coaches and different GMs. I know you've done it before. Here is why you should believe in our mission. And we'll see what happens. But he is a great player, not a good player, a great player. And a lot of times to win, it helps to have those kinds of players.
Ian, I'll wrap it up with you with this. You mentioned the defensive coordinator, Rob Leonard, getting the promotion up from defensive line coach. What about the other hires that Clint has made on this staff? 5 of the 11 have ties to him from before anyway. What does that say to you about the staff that he's compiling?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it sounds like to me it was the staff he wanted. That's what it felt like to me. You talk about the hire, and it was, obviously the last one done, and sometimes that can make it difficult. Even for for Mike McDonald, who was hired, like I was just thinking of where he came from, the offensive coordinator choice he made at the beginning was not exactly what he envisioned, ended up moving on and then, hiring Clint a year later. Sometimes you don't get the guys you want. This feels to me like Clint got the guys he wanted. I mean, Andrew Janocko is not a household name. Really, really good. Has been, at Clint's side for several different spots, New Orleans, Seattle, now Vegas. I mean, that was the guy he wanted as offensive coordinator. I mean, there's just a lot of really good voices who joined him. And to express and help people understand his mission, what he wants to do, the foundation he wants to set, how he wants to teach, you do need familiarity. And I think he's got that with the coaching staff. And so, I wouldn't be surprised if you see some guys that he's had before elsewhere in his life as far as players go. But a lot of times, these are the guys who can help sell what you want to do.
Awesome. Ian, thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy. Thank you for taking the time to sit down with me.
All right. Thanks for having me, man. Take care.
Take care.